Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome into the Steven Singer Studios. My name is Marc Farzetta. We call this show The Farzy Show. Right out of the gate. Right out of the gate. Thank you to everybody that watched the show yesterday, everyone that checked out the podcast and all that. Brandon Graham is the man. And I'm going to offer to babysit his kids. I'm going to offer to be his butler for a week. I owe the man. Just a great stuff yesterday. Didn't hold back in any answer. Just was very forthcoming, very honest with everybody, and just a very lovable guy, as we all know. And that's not just about the strip sack in the Super Bowl that we talk so much about. It's just about the personality that he has. So I am forever in Brandon Graham's debt, and I appreciate him coming on the program. We have another solid guest for you today. Our good friend Marc Zumoff, play-by-play voice of the 76ers for NBC Sports Philadelphia. He'll be joining the show today. Marc is also launching a T-shirt here that we'll talk about when we have him on. That will help the community here in Philadelphia. It's a great T-shirt. We'll talk a lot about it later, and Marc will walk us through everything as to how you can get it, how you can buy it, and how you can help a great organization in the city of brotherly love. We got Eagles conversation to get to. We got Flyers conversation to get to. Those Philadelphia Flyers. Look what happens. You win some battles along the boards, you get a couple of goals. I thought it was very interesting that the three goals that they had to start out for themselves, their first three goals, all came as a result of winning puck battles along the boards. And what did we talk about yesterday? What do you need to do to win in hockey? You got to win those battles along the boards. Travis Konecny does it. Oscar Lindblom gets a goal. Travis Konecny and Oscar Lindblom both do it. Then you see Claude Giroux get the little tip in there with the deflection. That's basically what happened throughout this game, and even the game winner, a result of winning a battle along the boards. Jake Voracek's goal for the third goal, winning along the boards. Just unfortunate, there was about a 6-minute, 30-second span where the Flyers were like, hey, these are the Rangers, right? Are we supposed to lose like 9-0 to this? No? Different New York team? Oh, okay. Maybe we'll stop playing. Yeah, we'll just stop playing. We'll take a break. For about 6 minutes, 30 seconds, the Islanders rattled off 3 goals, 2 of which I think Carter Hart thinks he should have had. One definitely for sure hit him in the side. Should have been a save. Unfortunately, he put it right into the net, and that's the way it went down. But overall, the vast majority of that game last night was very pleasant to watch. You felt like the Flyers were very much in control and determined along the board. So they got the win. Good to see it. And now they got 2 more games against the Islanders. It'll be just like that Pittsburgh Penguins series from 2 weeks ago where they got 3 straight games against the Penguins, or now against the Islanders. So at least good to see them win. I got to say this because we got a lot to get to when it comes to what's going on right now with the Philadelphia Eagles. And there's a couple of reports out there about maybe they're interested in Deshaun Watson, who has his own problems going on right now. But maybe they're interested in him. Maybe they're going to draft a quarterback. There's a bunch of stuff out there. They did a press conference yesterday with Nick Sirianni and Howie Roseman. And, I mean, I didn't really feel there's a lot of substance to this, just like a lot of press conferences. That's not the Eagles' fault. That's just kind of the way these things go. And then there was also the press conference with Carson Wentz, which, by the way, Philadelphia media members were able to ask questions. And Les Bowen tried nailing Carson Wentz down on an answer as to whether or not he requested a trade, and Carson wasn't forthcoming. I know some people will lose their minds over this, and I know some people will be begging Carson Wentz to give them straight answers on what happened. I never have this attitude. And yeah, I watched the press conference with Carson, and yeah, sure, good luck to you. I never have this attitude of I don't care. I don't give a damn. I am so pissed off at both parties, the Wentz camp and the Eagles camp, like I have been telling you for weeks now, that I just wanted it to be over, and now it's over. I feel relieved that Carson Wentz was in blue yesterday. I feel relieved that he was in blue, that he was wearing number 2, and he was also holding up the horseshoe, by the way. I didn't intend for all that to rhyme, but it did. So anyway, so I didn't intend, like when he holds up the horseshoe in the Instagram post that he put up there, hey, let's go Colts, whatever. I honestly, truthfully, I don't care. And the only reason I know any of that is because I knew I had to be informed to at least address you today. I don't care. Do you honestly care about Carson Wentz now being out there in Indianapolis? because I have no ill will. I have no feeling, nothing. Because I blame Carson Wentz just as much as I blame the Philadelphia Eagles for this not working out. And I don't know why I'm supposed to have all these emotions when watching Carson Wentz sit up there in a nice blue jacket, looking like Peyton Manning did when he wore that nice blue jacket when he played for the Colts, and it seemed like he wore the same blue jacket every press conference he ever did. I saw some people on Twitter, to hell with him, whatever. Like, not even that. I don't care. Zero emotion. If it was all Carson Wentz's fault as to why all this hit the fan, then I would probably be pissed off. But the fact that it's the Eagles and Carson, I'm like, well, what did you want us to do here? And even as we talked about with Brandon Graham yesterday, Brandon Graham even admitted, yeah, this is the best for both parties. And on top of all that, this needed to happen. Both parties needed to go in opposite directions. And that's what we got. And now it's all about Jalen Hurts and what we can get from Jalen Hurts. And now we're led to believe through reports that Jeffrey Laurie wants the Eagles to build around Jalen Hurts, and that's that. So Jalen Hurts, the era will begin, and we'll see if he can at least play quarterback in the NFL over an extended period of time. And that's what a lot of the press conference yesterday, back to the Eagles now, had to do with. Jalen Hurts, what they're going to do with quarterback. And here's the wild thing. The report comes out from Chris Mortensen on ESPN that the Eagles are being instructed. The Eagles are being instructed by Jeffrey Laurie to build around Jalen Hurts. Okay. A lot of good quarterbacks in this draft. You're picking at number 6, which means you can move up, and it wouldn't cost you a ridiculous amount of picks or equity. Let's just say that assets, to use that old Sam Hinkie word. You could move up, and it wouldn't be nearly as bad as going from, let's say, 8 to 2, or wouldn't be as bad as moving up from 13 to 8 to 2, like they did for Carson Wentz. So theoretically, they could move up, swap first round picks. Obviously, a first round pick next year, maybe a second round pick scattered around. So you could. And listening to this press conference with Howie Roseman and Nick Sirianni, I still don't have a sense that the Eagles are riding Jalen Hurts, and that's that. It could be just gamesmanship from Howie. It could be just gamesmanship from Nick Sirianni. But to me, it seems as if the Eagles really are keeping all options open through multiple opportunities now. The Eagles could say, we're going to just ride Jalen Hurts. We're going to see how this goes, and that's that. And that's not what they're doing. It could be gamesmanship, but it could also be complete BS. And it could also mean that they actually do want to take somebody that early in the draft, a quarterback, not somebody late in the draft, just to get depth. And we all know they are going to have another quarterback than just Jalen Hurts on the squad. So, we know there's going to be another quarterback. It's just a matter of whether or not they're going to take that guy at 6 or they're going to take somebody later in the draft simply for depth itself. We're going to walk through a lot of that press conference right now. And the first thing that comes up here is Howie Roseman addressing the media, talking about Jeffrey Laurie's involvement in everyday operations with the Philadelphia Eagles in football decisions and whether or not that has changed in the recent years. Here is Howie Roseman on Jeffrey Laurie's involvement.
Jeffrey has always been involved in what we do here. He's always been one to ask us questions and to really challenge us and to make sure that we're doing the right things, and I don't see how that's changed really over the past couple of years. And very comfortable with his role here, and very appreciative of his role here.
There you go, comfortable and appreciative of his boss. Look, when we talked to Hugh Douglas on this past Tuesday, when we read back to him some of the reports from Jeff McClain, highlighting Jeffrey Laurie's attitude after big wins. He said, that doesn't sound like the guy that I know. And it doesn't sound like the guy that I know that would get involved that heavily in football decisions. Maybe things have changed. And as Howie Roseman has been the general manager, as Howie Roseman has had more or less final say on football operations in the recent years since about 2011, 2012, then yeah, maybe things have evolved with Jeffrey Laurie. And maybe Howie doesn't even realize it as much. Because now he's in a decision where, I've been a GM, I've been having final say. It's always been like this with Jeffrey Laurie. And I don't think that Laurie does the everyday stuff that some people might imply that he does, but I do think he meddles. as I always like, the meddling owner. I think that's what Jeffrey Laurie is doing. Howie was also asked about the quarterback position and whether or not they were given instructions by Jeffrey Laurie to build around Jalen Hurts, as we just mentioned a second ago, from Chris Mortensen of ESPN. Here's Howie on the quarterback position, what the Eagles plan on doing with it, and also whether or not the report was true. And this is Jeff McClain asking the question. But take a listen to Howie and how he handles this.
We only have one quarterback on our roster, so it's definitely not going to stay that way. And we've always tried to value that position and to have depth at that position. And I don't see any of that changing here as we go forward. That's nothing that we would be comfortable with. We want to have a really strong quarterback room. We feel like we have incredible coaches on the offensive side of the ball and defensive side of the ball who can maximize quarterback play. And so we're going to look at the free agent market. We're going to look at the trade market, and we're certainly going to look at the draft to try to strengthen that position.
Hey, and can you comment on the ESPN report?
We have not been told to do anything other than to try to strengthen the football team and make sure that we're doing the right things now and going forward.
Seems easy enough. No instruction. It's not like he's going to come out and tell you anyway. Oh, yeah, by the way, I can't do my job because Jeff's doing that. But when his press conference comes around in a year, maybe you can ask him about it then, after all this is said and done already. So I don't expect anything different than what they had said yesterday. I really don't. I didn't expect them to also come out, by the way, like I said earlier, I didn't expect them to come out and say, by the way, yes, Jalen Hurts is our guy. Because, yes, gamesmanship, and it's before the draft, and they don't want to show their hand or anything like that. I do find it interesting that they are this vague about the position, I guess, to just keep everybody else guessing. You may have heard when Nick Sirianni was introduced, if you didn't watch the press conference, you might have heard that it didn't go well. He seemed nervous. It didn't seem like it did not seem like a guy that could take charge in a locker room. So I don't know if Nick Sirianni yesterday was trying to overcompensate for that. I don't know if he was trying to come off as a guy that's very much in control, very excited, very confident, but he did seem a little different. He seemed like somebody put the quarter in and got the machine going a little bit here, got the passion up. And whoever told him to say that you got to love ball as many times as he did, but hey, you got to love ball, a lot of it. And apparently that just kept on being said. And if you remember yesterday's show, we played for you Howie Roseman talk and a little Nick Sirianni as well, talking about that. If you're a player here, you got to love football. The old adage is you can't just love what football brings you. You have to love football itself. So Nick Sirianni got into that yesterday and also got into what makes a franchise quarterback. So in all this conversation about the franchise quarterback, the next guy up to be the franchise quarterback, Jalen Hurts, Nick Sirianni was asked yesterday about what makes a good franchise quarterback and what he's looking for in a franchise quarterback.
The best way to surround a quarterback and to make him the most successful is coach our tails off in the meeting room. How do we do that? And then get him the reps on the field that he needs to get that experience to continue to get better. And so what does that look like in a meeting room? That looks like us going over, looking at a play, let's say, teaching him how to read a play fast, right? And be able to, teach him the mental part of the game of how he's going to read this play, what this play is really good against, and show him that on examples of the tape. Like, hey, this play is going to be really good against this coverage. When it get this coverage, we want to be looking over here. So it's these reps that you're going to get from it. And that's the mental part of it. And there's so many things that play into that mental part of it. I literally just talked about one play, but there's a protection. There's everything like there's so many pieces of that. But then it's their fundamentals, right? And that's why we have good coach. Like, to me, like, that's how you really get a player to reach his potential and max out his potential by teaching him what to do, right? Teaching him what to do, which is what we just talked about, and how to do it.
Okay. Just for a point, that went on for another minute of sort of the same type of thing. But if you just read that and not necessarily listen to the way it's delivered, but even the way it was delivered for Nick Sirianni, for the low bar that was set in the introductory press conference, even for that, listening to Nick Sirianni right there is like, yeah, okay. All right, this guy loves football. All right, Cool. Like, he's a head football coach in the NFL. He's been in the NFL for a lot of years now already. He should love football. But listening to that, all right, fundamentals with a quarterback. Didn't all that hit the fan with Carson Wentz while he was here? Yeah, fundamentals, mechanics, coaching him up. This guy sounds like he can't wait to get his hands on Jalen Hurts or any other quarterback to coach them up. And that I appreciate. That I love. Breaking down film with them. Love that idea. Go for it. Surrounding them with coaches that want to coach their butts off. Go for it. Love every second of that as well. So just listening to him, and also if you just read the quotes later, you can see that a guy like Nick Sirianni is all about coaching up a quarterback. And when you talk about the guys that he coached just with the Colts, with Jacoby Brissett, we've talked about Andrew Luck, Phillip Rivers, not that he needed a lot of coaching, 20-year NFL vet, more or less. But that's a guy that wants to coach a quarterback and wants to be hands-on. So that's great. Now, this is where I think Nick Sirianni started losing people again. He was asked about the qualities he looks for in a player. What he wants a good player to look like, the traits that they have to have, whether that's in the draft or that's free agency. Here's what your new head coach, Nick Sirianni, first-time head coach, had to say about building this roster with good character guys that also have these following traits.
As far as the character of the player, right, we're always looking for these things in a player. We're always looking for tough players. We're always looking for high football IQ players. We're always looking for players that are competitive, right? And we're always looking for players that love ball. Like, in my experience, like, those four things, like, when we find players that have those four things, like, those are the guys you can't go to a game without. Like, hey, these guys, the players that have those four things, it just feels like every player that I've been around that I'm like, I can't get on the bus or the plane without him. He has those four qualities, right? Because those guys maximize their potential. So first, obviously, talent is the main thing, right? Let's not, like, I have those four things, but you don't want me suiting up on Sunday. But talent's the first thing, and then the second thing really is the character of that player. Those four things, I like that. That is something we're looking for each guy.
I don't want to be a sarcastic jerk, but I got to be honest with you. It always seems like to me, and every time I've heard from Nick Sirianni so far, that there is the book report was due. You forgot it was due. And the teacher said, anyway, hey, Mark, why don't you go up there and Nick in this case. Nick, why don't you go up there and give us a presentation on To Kill a Mockingbird? And you totally didn't read To Kill a Mockingbird. And you go up there and you're like, all right, four things I really like To Kill a Mockingbird. Four things. So let's talk about the four things you really like about To Kill a Mockingbird, right? So let's talk about it for a second. Here's what I like about To Kill a Mockingbird. One, stormtroopers. Just amazing. They were awesome. Then there was the Death Star. Love the Death Star. Who doesn't love a good Death Star? Then after that, there was like a rainbow, and then there was a woman, that Dorothy lady. Great job. Anyway, To Kill a Mockingbird, phenomenal. I'm sorry, what was that? You can have a seat, and you failed the class and school for the rest of your life. But that's what it feels like sometimes. And when he goes off on that tangent about, what he looks for in a player, that all that's good. And then he compounds it. And I'm like, this isn't how you are standing across from a player, right? And I know press conferences can be nerve-wracking for people. I know public speaking is supposed to be the number one fear of the average human being. Public speaking. As Jerry Seinfeld says, number one is public speaking. Number two is death. That means at the funeral, you'd rather be in the casket than giving the eulogy. So I can understand that. But it's just funny. Like, you can tell when somebody is trying to come off as if they have all this confidence in the world in what they're saying. And it's like, I know the material, but right now I just can't deliver it to you. It's just a funny thing to listen to. And he also, it was weird if you caught it at the end. I won't play it for you. Right at the end of the press conference, he's talking about, this is another good thing to highlight. He's talking about how you have to coach to what you have. And that's what all great coaches do. And then he goes on like a 60-second speech about how much he loves his brother, who's a multi-state champion football coach who ran a whole slew of different offenses with his team because he had an influx of different talent along the way. I'm glad you love your brother, Nick Sirianni. I love my brother. But yeah, I get that. It's going to take a while, I guess, until I see him around the team. And that's why I'm not, based on press conference, saying he's going to be some terrible head coach. I'm giving him a chance. But when it comes to training camp, when it comes to seeing him interact with the players, when it comes to just flat out seeing him on the field, that's where I'm going to really make my judgment on whether or not this guy can coach, as we all should. We can have fun with the press conferences, we can poke fun at it and all that stuff. But really, my prediction for Nick Sirianni is I really base a lot of it on Frank Reich above all else in terms of the football coach. The other stuff behind the scenes, how much say he has in personnel, which I don't think is a lot, I'm reserving that and whatever. That we all know how he's running the show, and Jeffrey Laurie gets to have his input with probably a little bit of an iron fist. But when it comes to Nick Sirianni so far, I'm not going to make a judgment on him, the football coach, until I see him on the football field where he's supposed to be more in his natural habitat. In the press conference, it is what it is. Yesterday, I didn't get a lot out of anything to predict what could happen during the season. But if you are telling me a coach is going to come in here and command a locker room, and Doug did that, by the way, in his introductory press conference, he absolutely did that. He owned the room. And I remember thinking, damn, Doug Peterson? Good for this guy. Nick Sirianni, I don't know anything about. And I'm like, this ain't it. That's kind of the gut feeling right now. If I have to make a judgment now, that's the judgment. But I'm not going to make the official judgment until I see him on the football field, again, his natural habitat, and see how he does with this football team. In case you missed it earlier, we did touch on the Carson Wentz thing. I'm going to ask you, because we're going to talk to Marc Zumoff here in a second, our guest today. I am going to ask you this, and he's also going to play a little game with us for FanUp, the great people of FanUp. Make sure you download the FanUp app. He'll answer the FanUp 5 from questions from you, the fan, yourselves. But I'm going to ask you this question. Do you care about Carson Wentz anymore? Does he like, in all honesty, I have no emotion attached to him. None. I see the jersey. A lot of people are like, weird. And I'm like, seemed like it was bound to happen. Eagles made it sound like it was all Carson, that he wanted to leave. That's fine. And Carson didn't want to say whether or not he requested a trade. Wouldn't go into that. Said he knew he was done here in Philadelphia pretty much in the Green Bay Packers game when he was taken out. Like, okay, we got some answers, I guess, but none of it helps. I don't care. Both parties fouled this up royally. Your emotion, go ahead, tell me in the YouTube comment section here, your emotion towards Carson Wentz right now. I don't care, or, oh yeah, it still pisses me off. So you can go and hit me up right there, and we'll do our social media check-in, brought to you by the great people of Steak and Maine when we come back from our Marc Zumoff interview. But right now, I do have to tell you about my good friend Steven Singer of Steven Singer Jewelers. Here at the Steven Singer Studio, love telling you about Steven Singer of Steven Singer Jewelers. I told you recently, Wednesday, as a matter of fact, sent my buddy Robert out there, texted me afterwards saying what a great experience it was, how great everybody was. He found exactly what he was looking for, which was a wedding band, as a matter of fact. Steven takes care of everybody that goes in that store. And here's what you do. You go on IHateStevenSinger.com. You make an appointment on the appointment scheduler. You go in and you have yourself a wonderful time. A no haggle, no hassle, by the way, type of time there. I love talking about Steven Singer and all the great stuff he does, especially the perfect price. Steven prides himself on the perfect price, and he also wants to let you in on a little insider tip here. Most jewelers will mark up their merchandise way up, as a matter of fact, just to make you feel like you're getting some kind of deal, like you can haggle a little bit, like you can negotiate, like you won. Steven, you don't got to worry about that at Steven Singer Jewelers, simply because everything's already at the perfect price. Go to IHateStevenSinger.com or the other corner of 8th and Walnut. You're guaranteed to get the perfect price all day, every day, 365 days a year. That's why I'm not even telling you a promo code right now, because everything's already at that perfect price. Steven Singer Jewelers, other corner of 8th and Walnut, or at Steven Singer Jewelers, rather at IHateStevenSinger.com. Steven Singer Jewelers, one place, one price. Without further ado, Sixers off last night. Sixers off tonight. I believe they're back in action against the Kings tomorrow night. So you can check out Marc Zumoff back in action, calling all that. But joining us now on the Zatos Investments guest line, the play-by-play voice of the Philadelphia 76ers, Temple University's own, our good friend Marc Zumoff joins us on the Zatos Investments guest line. Joining us on the Zatos Investments guest line, our good friend, Mr. Marc Zumoff, NBC Sports Philadelphia, Sixers play-by-play man extraordinaire. Marc, how are you?
I'm just happy you're my friend, too. It works both ways.
Thank goodness for that. We're really enjoying this Sixers season, and although they just lost the number 1 seed with, losing to the Bucks and the Nets winning, it's tough. But
well, let me just say this: they're technically still in first place. The tiebreaker favors them because of conference record.
That's right.
And coming up in April, big game at Wells Fargo Center. I think it's the 14th. Winner of that will have the tiebreaker. So, lots still to happen.
What more could you want? But what I was going to say was, no matter what, this has been a very exciting season, and we get to live that excitement through your play-by-play call. And now you get to have the energy of the building back with at least 3,000 fans back at the stadium. So what's it been like for you to go through the bubble calling plays? What's it been like for you going to the Wells Fargo Center to call them while they've been back in the Wells Fargo Center? And now with the fans back, what's that whole roller coaster been like for you?
So strange but true. You go back to March 11th, and that game was really weird because we already knew then that something bad was going to happen. It just, the specter of something not good was hanging over the entire game. And of course, after the game, we heard the NBA postpone the season. Then suddenly in the middle of summer, we're playing basketball again. So doing the bubble games, they actually took what is in effect a hockey press box way upstairs in Wells Fargo Center, converted each of those individual press boxes to rooms where we could be socially distanced. We had big monitors and we did the bubble games there. Now coming back this year, 2 different things. One, for the home games, we are in our typical area, but we're enclosed by plexiglass. And for the road games, we have big monitors in a studio and we do the games off the monitors. And of course, as you know, we started without fans. Now that we have fans in the building, it's really cool just to have people come up waving again, season ticket holders, other fans who I recognize. It's starting to feel a little bit more like home after more than a year of having nobody in the joint.
Before this, were you just practicing play-by-play in front of the dog? Exactly right. He's my color analyst until I get all Abden Abbey back. Well, you guys are doing such a great job. You would never know that you guys are in a different spot, especially for the road games. You guys are all over it. As far as this team goes this year, I have likened it to the Iverson era, which I was still just a young pup. I was a high school kid enjoying that era, but this is the most excited I've been about Sixers basketball. And I think the reason for that is because a lot of it is homegrown talent, especially with Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons. And it seems like Matisse Thybulle is growing this year. It's been the most exciting since when for you?
I want to agree with you and say that I did enjoy the process from one standpoint when we began to turn the corner after those 3 very difficult seasons. That kind of reminded me of the Iverson era because I remember the lockout season of 98, 99. It was our first winning season in 8 years, our first playoffs in 8 years, our first home playoff game in 8 years. So I kind of enjoyed that process, if you will. And I hear what you're saying, Mark. In many ways, it does resemble that era. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. And I want to make sure we get to this because this is an incredible thing. Not only do you give us excitement with your play-by-play, your great calls, but now we can actually wear your calls. And it's going, a portion of the proceeds are actually going to a great charity, Philadelphia Youth Basketball. You could buy these shirts. I'm actually going to flash them up right here. You could tell us about it. You could buy these at markzumoff.com. It's in collaboration with Cheesesteak Tees. And like I said, some of the proceeds go to Philadelphia Youth Basketball, a limited 2-week run starting now, right now. Yes. Right now through April 2nd. People can get these T-shirts, these hoodies, these long sleeves, turning garbage into gold, one of your great and famous calls, my friend. This is great what you're doing.
Thank you. So I got together with Josh Weinfeld, who, of course, does a lot of marketing and representation around the city. And we're talking about a number of different phrases. Locking all windows and doors, I think, was up there. Hang on, Oliver, coming in for a landing. But I think garbage into gold among all the different phrases that have come out of this goofy head of mine, I think probably stands above those. So we actually got it trademarked, and now we've put it on shirts and hoodies. And the object is, yes, to raise money for Philadelphia Youth Basketball, which is a great community-based organization. They use the game of basketball to help youth, many of them in disadvantaged areas, and not just basketball as a carrot and then maybe some tutoring afterwards. They help them really with all aspects of life, be it nutrition or just counseling or learning how to deal with tragedy that might be happening in their area. It's an all-encompassing organization, and right now they are trying to build the Alan Horowitz Six-Man Center, which is located in the Nicetown section. At least that's where the site of it is. And this is going to be a huge edifice, not only with basketball courts, but with places where kids can do yoga or meditation or learn about finance or learn about good nutrition, that sort of thing. It's going to be in an area that sorely needs it. It's going to stand, hopefully, as a citadel for young disadvantaged youth to be able to come and learn about life and how to make their lives better.
Is this the same Alan Horowitz I see so often on the Sixers sidelines?
Yes. So for the uninitiated, Alan has some of the greatest seats ever, literally right next to the Sixer bench. Unfortunately, he can't sit in them right now. But here's a guy who is self-made. He used to sneak into Convention Hall to watch the old Philadelphia Warriors where they were in town, and later the Sixers. And now he's got the greatest seat in the house, and he has become the sixth man. He's got this flowing, wild white hair. He's waving the towels. He's always conversing with the players, and he's been very, very generous to Philadelphia youth basketball. Hence the name, Alan Horowitz Six-Man Center.
Yeah, I've interviewed him. Such a kind man, but when you talk basketball with him, he turns into that 12-year-old kid all over again. It's amazing, man. It really is. That's great. Good for you. This is a great help, I'm sure, to the Philadelphia youth basketball, and good for you getting associated with them. In terms of Sixer basketball, to swing it back in that direction, Ben Simmons has received the moniker of maybe he's overhyped, something I don't believe. But I want to ask you this, Marc Zumoff. Will we ever get past the point, or when will we get past the point where people will try to sell the idea of him being overhyped when he's a three-time All-Star already? It's not like it's some fluke that he's made an All-Star team. A three-time All-Star. When do you think people, mostly in the national media or people outside Philadelphia, will get past this?
So, Mark, winning calms a lot of nerves. So if the Sixers can get to the conference finals, or maybe, God willing, win the whole ball of wax, that will silence a lot of people, because when you become a winner, that silences a lot of your critics for many, many different reasons. I think in Philly, because we are who we are, and maybe there are other Sixer fans around the country who do this, we tend to obsess about what don't we have? How can we make somebody who's really, really, really good even a little bit better? And let's be real about this. It would be great if Ben Simmons would shoot every once in a while from the outside. It's ironic, too, in these 2 overtime losses at Wells Fargo Center, when it really didn't matter at the end of the Cleveland game, and last night at the end of the Milwaukee game, he just shoots the three-pointer, and he looks good doing it, and it goes in. So you sort of hope that he'll say, hey, you know what, if I do this in a game, maybe. And quite frankly, we were watching a guy who has many of the same characteristics as Ben Simmons and Giannis Antetokounmpo. It's not an especially good-looking shot. He only hits it at 30%. But with everything that Ben Simmons does, if he would shoot the three a couple of times a game and he would do it at a 30% clip, I think everybody would welcome that.
Mm-hmm. I'd be in line for that. No doubt about that. Now, the other thing with this team is, as much as I am enjoying it, it's a little hard right now in terms of, like you just said, what we don't have. And what we don't have right now is Joel Embiid. So with this team and a healthy Joel Embiid, what do you think their ceiling is before the trade deadline? How good do you think this Sixers team is? Is it a conference finals team? Is it a finals team? How good are they right now?
I think they're a conference finals team at least, and I'll tell you why. It is because they defend, and that's a big part of what it is that they do, not only statistically, but when you hear Joel Embiid talk, he talks not about most valuable player as the rest of us talk about, but his desire to be the defensive player of the year. Ben Simmons has said the same thing, that he thinks he's the best defensive player in the league. So you have your two kingpins who think that way. To me, and listen, this is just through 65 years of watching sports, my entire life in Philly, teams that defend, whether it's pitching and defense in baseball or goaltending in hockey or soccer, which I like, preventing the other team and getting a clean sheet. And of course, in football, I mean, look at the Baltimore Ravens two Super Bowls ago when they won their first one. What was it? Trent Dilfer was their quarterback.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, 2000, right. Yeah.
So of course, as I say this, the Eagles won theirs 41-33. But my point to you is that I've always believed that defense wins games and, offense brings fans or whatever. So I like that aspect of our team. And I think Joel Embiid is an unstoppable force. And he has shown now that he can be a shot maker at the end of games. Along with Tobias Harris, those are two keys: defense, being able to close out games. And I think the Sixers right now are doing both.
I mean, I know a lot of people are looking at the Nets and they're saying, oh, that's the team right there. Look at what they've assembled. Now they even got Blake Griffin, if he has anything left in the tank. But for me, if I'm the Nets, I don't want the Sixers. Like, that's the team I want the least because of how they defend. I think that the Nets don't want that matchup. And hey, look, I want to see that matchup in the Eastern Conference Finals. I think we will see that matchup. But if I'm the Nets, I'm looking at the Sixers and I'm going, Ben Simmons, Joel Embiid, Tobias Harris, and Matisse Thybulle coming off the bench to provide defense, and Danny Green providing defense. Seth Curry, if he gets hot, hitting threes. That's a team that I think the Nets still have a little bit of that edge on. But when it comes to the matchup, defensively speaking, I think that's something the Sixers are looking forward to.
Agreed. And I'm yet to actually put pen to paper and think about how they would match up. Joel Embiid, I know they would have put him on Giannis Antetokounmpo last night had he been healthy. Of course, Brook Lopez, their center, would have drawn Embiid out. So I'm just trying to think how they would match up. Who would guard Kyrie Irving? Who would guard James Harden? Who would guard Kevin Durant? I don't exactly know how they would do it. But I'm finding now in NBA games, yes, it's all about matchups. But last night, how many different Sixers tried their hand at Antetokounmpo? So it really becomes a team thing, and I think the Sixers get that. Going into last night, they were the second best defensive rating in the NBA, and I think that that's going to speak volumes. I would like to think that the Sixers' defense would trump the Nets and their overwhelming offense. Whatever, it's going to be intriguing to find out if it happens.
I'm curious, Mark, because and you mentioned it, watching sports for 65 years. Which version of basketball has been your favorite and most enjoyable to watch from a fan's perspective? Has it been the rough and tough game of the 90s, the game of the centers back in the the 80s and the 90s? Has it been this three-ball happy type of offense? What has been your favorite brand of basketball to watch?
I will always consider the 80s and 90s the golden age, much the way I think they consider the 50s the golden age of baseball, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
I think that, when you consider, for example, the draft of 1984, where you had Michael Jordan and Hakeem Olajuwon, and Charles Barkley was part of that. John Stockton came out around that time. I think he was that draft. I want to say Karl Malone may have been the year before. I mean, these are players who, in my eyes, have become the icons of our sport, even 30, 40 years later. Mm-hmm. That said, I do believe the three-point shot has drastically changed the game. I think the NBA has gone to great pains to not only emphasize that part of it, but also, I don't want to say hamstring the defenders, but a lot more hands-off in terms of how physical defenders can get. You think about the Iverson team, the 2001 team. Larry Brown's genius was the fact that he understood the rules and what the referees were going to allow. So he gave the ball to Iverson and surrounded him literally with four guys who were very rugged guys who could dig in defensively. And games were in the 90s, pretty much, maybe the low hundreds at most. But, that's the way they had to win then. So as I'm rambling on, I'm thinking 80s and 90s to me were the golden age. I enjoyed them the most. But I love watching today's game and guys or teams scoring in the 120s, and their ability to shoot threes to me is just it's amazing to watch.
I know it's helped fantasy owners. I know the fantasy sports has just kept on climbing over the last few years. Before we go any further, I do want to get this in here because our friends at FanUp are sponsoring a segment here, and it's going to be some fun from some fans that wrote in some question for you. We're going to call up, the FanUp 5 with our friend Marc Zumoff. Mark, you ready for 5 questions from the good people of FanUp?
Let's do it.
All right, here you go. Some questions from fans. Here you go. Which of your great calls is your favorite great call?
I think the T.J. McConnell game winner against the Knicks. And I think the reason is this, aside from whatever it is that came out of my mouth, that was a defining moment. Because think about it, Mark. You had an 18-win season, a 19-win season, and the year before a 10-win season. So now Joel Embiid is finally playing one of his 31 games. TJ McConnell, I think by then had become a starter for whatever reason. And we beat what I think was a pretty decent Knick team. I think they still had Carmelo Anthony. They had Kristaps Porzingis. And they beat them dramatically. And that one iconic shot, or two of them actually, one was TJ McConnell, flying literally, you would think, into the crowd, waving his fist. And the other one was where it looked like Joel Embiid was going to affectionately choke him at the end of the game. There was a shot that you could probably find somewhere on the internet. So I think all those things considered was like, hey, we might have a basketball team here. And just the moment that I recall so vividly, it's become one of my favorite calls of all time.
I think it's is that Alex Subers getting that shot?
It may very well have been his shot, yes, or Jesse Garabrand, who's done such a great job through the years with the NBA.
Absolutely, some great photographers there working along the sidelines, including Alex Subers, who's with the Sixers, taking pictures all the time. He's a photographer, I should say.
Yes.
Next question for the FanUp 5: what is the one call you didn't have due to a national broadcast, whatever it might have been, but wish you did?
Yeah, so earlier this year when Tobias Harris hit the game winner over Alex Caruso and the Lakers at Wells Fargo Center, I mean, what were there, 250 people in the building? You're thinking Sixers, Lakers, LeBron. I mean, they could have sold out the link for that game, I think. And the Sixers led just about the whole way. The Lakers made that late run. They were about to steal the game, and Tobias comes out of nowhere and hits the game winner in the final seconds. I would have wanted to do that with 21,000 people in the joint, LeBron, doing the woe is me and all of that. That would have been awesome. But yeah, I had to watch it at home sucking on a beer instead.
You know what? I remember when we've spoken about this subject in the past, you weren't there in the finals in 01 to make the Iverson over Tyronn Lue call, but you made it for me in a bit I did when I was working for you fine people at NBC Sports Philly. Don't think I don't listen to that every night. The great Marc Zumoff.
Oh, by the way, Tom McGinnis's call was iconic. It was great. He's way too good. It was just one of the great calls of all time. Tommy Mack is awesome.
That he is. I agree.
Yeah.
We are very lucky with our broadcasters in this city. If you weren't calling games, Marc Zumoff, what would you be doing?
Well, it sounds kind of weird, and it has nothing to do with broadcasting. I could be working at a scrap iron and steel yard. And the reason I say that is I worked my way through college at a scrap iron and steel yard, running heavy equipment, driving trucks, sorting metal, that kind of thing, getting dirty. And eventually I was going to move into the company's marketing department, where you would go out and you would go to people who manufactured products. And at the end of the manufacturing process, they would have steel and non-ferrous materials. And you would drop a trailer there and you would pull it into your yard. You would process it for the mills, hence the recycling that would happen. And I got talked out of it. I mean, I always wanted to be the voice of the Sixers, but never had the confidence. And I was about to go in that direction. And then I had a friend who said to me, you know what? I think you could do this. So I got a job in Trent, New Jersey, reading the news for $110 a week. They were 6 weeks behind on my pay. But as soon as I got the check, I said, you know what? I am in there like swimwear. And it's a much longer story to detail how I went from reading the news in Trent, New Jersey to becoming the voice of the Sixers. But I'm glad my life took that turn.
So you were taking scrap metal and you were turning it into like something useful?
There you go. It's sort of turning garbage into gold. I see where you went there, Marky.
Yeah.
Well done. It's well done.
Once again, here's the shirt right there, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to buy MarcZumoff.com. During lockdown, fourth question in the FanUp 5. During lockdown, what was your favorite pastime?
I want to say binging on Game of Thrones with my wife, and thank God I was watching with her because she's so much smarter. And with all the different storylines, with all the different characters, I was literally asking her. I mean, I would stop in mid-show and say, who's this guy? Where did he come from? What does this all mean? And of course, like a lot of men, I was ogling over Daenerys Targaryen as well. But listen, I was with my Daenerys Targaryen saying, hey, this Daenerys Targaryen isn't too bad either.
Is she in the room right now, Mark?
Oh, yes, she is. I'm being very careful. Trust me.
I think we've talked about that before. The eighth season, I hope you just bypassed. But yeah. So last thing for you. As you just talked about, you were a kid. Were you a Northeast kid? Is that where you grew up?
Oh, yeah.
So some kids watching this right now, they want to be the play-by-play guy for the Sixers one day, or they want to be a pro play-by-play guy. What's the advice you'd give that young broadcaster right now to pursue their dream?
Mark, as you know, because you've achieved your dream, there's a lot to it, whether it's talent, whether it's people you know in the business, networking, acquiring different skills, that sort of thing. All of that stuff is very important. But I think the foundation of it all is you really, really, really have to believe that it's something that you can do. And by that, I mean that you have the intrinsic ability to not only actually perform in that particular role, but to go through everything it takes to get there. So it's a lot of rejection. It's a lot of unfairness, if you will, where people might get chosen for a job over you for whatever reason. Could be political, could be what have you. So as you go through all of this stuff, and trust me, there's a lot more dark than there is to light. But if you hold that belief within yourself, that's a very powerful force. It's going to help you to overcome a lot of things.
Marc Zumoff, thank you for playing the FanUp 5 and answering those questions for our fans. I appreciate that's great advice.
My pleasure.
Two things I want to close on. One, trade deadline is less than a week away now. Do you think the Sixers add to their bench? They're starting 5, significant move. What do you think happens?
You know, I think it's one of those things. It's like the New England weather where you kind of wet your finger and you stick your finger out and you say, oh, you're all right. Today, I think we need somebody. Today, I'm not sure we need anybody. I think that, and far be it for me to mention any names because I don't want to be accused of any sort of tampering as a team broadcaster. But in my mind, in Daryl Morey, you have the best executive, not only in the NBA, but in sports. So if something needs to happen, he will find a way to make it happen. The Sixers will have to make a big consideration, and that is, if they have to make a trade, do they part with young talent or other assets in order to make it work now and mortgage at least some of the future? And B, your chemistry. That's a very sensitive thing. And right now, this team's chemistry is awesome. You know, I watch from where I can from afar, the body language, the way they vibe on the court, and it really seems to be at an all-time high. So if you are going to make a move, I think you have to be very sensitive to that as well. And I know Morey and Doc Rivers are in conversation all the time talking about that very thing.
Mm-hmm. And Mark, in closing, my friend, you mentioned what you'd be doing if you weren't broadcasting, as we asked you. When I became a free agent, you and I had a conversation, and you asked me what I was thinking. And I said, well, I always did want to open up a pizza shop in Italy, or at least buy one and pay someone who knew what they were doing to run it. And you told me basically not to abandon my following. And it was something that hadn't even crossed my mind. I knew the opportunity would be there to do something, but I didn't really make the decision to do a show like this until I talked to you. And I have you to thank for this. So, ladies and gentlemen, when you're thinking of this show, blame Marc Zumoff. It's all his fault. All right?
Here, I thought you were going to throw me a bouquet. It ends up being a sewer cap.
Now, in all seriousness, you know I love you. And thank you so much for how good you are to me and how great you are as a broadcaster, my friend. Thank you.
Appreciate you. You got it.
Absolutely. Check out the shirts one more time. Look at these bad boys, ladies and gentlemen. Do yourself a favor. Help a great cause as well with the Philadelphia Youth Basketball. The Marc Zumoff signature tees, the sweatshirts here, the hoodies. You can check them out at marczumoff.com. Available right now at marczumoff.com in collaboration with Cheesesteak Tees, turning garbage into gold. Zoo, always a pleasure, my friend. I'm sure we'll talk to you throughout the rest of the season. Until then, have a great time and hopefully continue to watch the Sixers team grow.
And keep it on, brother.
Thank you, my friend. Marc Zumoff, check it in. NBC Sports Philadelphia Sixers play-by-play broadcaster on the Zatos Investments guest line. Thank you, Mark.
You got it.
Easy gotta love that Marc Zumoff. And make sure you check out that shirt at marczumoff.com, going to a great cause. And that definitely helps the Philadelphia community through the beautiful world of sports. Right now, I got to tell you about DraftKings, though. If you're not using DraftKings for the tourney, what are you doing? Come on. All right, have some fun, like I'm having some fun. Big bet segment. I look to get off the 0-1. 0-1. I've been playing 500, betting 500. Look to get better than that. But if you want to get in on all the action with all the craziness that surrounds us in this very month, do it with DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook app. Putting new customers to the center of the action right now. Bet $4 on any underdog, to select underdog, and win $256. That's it. If they win, bet $4 to win $256. It's that simple. Turn $4 into $256. That is just fantastic odds. Every dollar you bet could turn into $64. Pick one of the many selected college basketball teams that's an underdog, and your shot is right there to win $256. No better way to put your college basketball knowledge to the test than to put your money where your mouth is with DraftKings Sportsbook. Don't worry if college basketball isn't for you. DraftKings has other odds and other great promotions on golf, on hockey, and so much more. DraftKings safe, secure, and reliable, so you can deposit and withdraw your funds at your convenience. Download the top-rated sportsbook of DraftKings Sportsbook. Download the app, use promo code Farzy, and when you sign up, you can turn $4 into $256 if you just pick an underdog, and they end up giving the upset. That's promo code Farzy. Turn $4 into $256 for a limited time only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Must be 21 or older. Pennsylvania only. New customers only. Restrictions apply in partnership with Meadows Racetrack and Casino. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. You getting hungry? Getting a little hungry? Maybe you're like me. Maybe you're hungry all the time. You know, hit up Steak and Maine in the heart of Northeast Maryland. Whether you dine in a more upscale steakhouse or a casual bar and patio, you'll enjoy the highest quality, prime meats, fresh seafood, world-class oyster bar. Who doesn't love a good oyster? And freshly prepared sushi. All that and an exclusive wine list, including their own Cavada Cellars wines. Make sure you sample all. That is just the delicious, decadent, succulent menu of Steak and Maine. Open every day for lunch, dinner, and Sunday brunch. Steak and Maine in Northeast Maryland, voted #1 place for steaks in America by the Travel Channel and the Cooking Channel. They know a thing or two about this stuff, folks. Check it out for yourself, though, at steakandmaine.com for more information. I mentioned FanUp. They brought us that great 5-question segment there, the FanUp 5, with our friend Marc Zumoff. Well, if you haven't downloaded that app either and got in on all the points and all the action there, then do yourself a favor. Get on FanUp. Challenge your friends to weekly stuff, daily stuff, and you could be the real MVP with FanUp. FanUp, by the way, the only place you could add up those points and you could win yourself some great brand prizes. They just gave away a Louis Vuitton bag. They got rookie cards, mint rookie cards they're giving away, a pair of Jordans they gave away already. So much stuff there, and you could rise on their leaderboard through challenging your friends and all their special type of fantasy sports they have for you to bet on. Super fun daily and weekly contests, answer fun questions, and like I said, you could rise on their leaderboard. FanUp, I'm doing it with my friends, and it's a great time. Easy, and the only place, like I said, to buy, and or not buy, but to win brand prizes. Any day, week, or season, you could be the MVP. Download the FanUp app in the App Store and use promo code FANUP to get 2,000 bonus points. That's FanUp. May the best fan win. All right, before we talk to Marc Zumoff and put the call out, how do you feel about Carson Wentz? Is there any real feeling here? James, I feel you on this feeling. Like a lot of other fans, you spent a lot of money on his autograph like an idiot. That's his words. It's not my words. James says he spent a lot of money on his autograph, and now he's gone. Howie is just burning it. James right there. Financially, he feels a little stupid. It's okay. You're going to be okay. I understand that emotion. Like all the people that go out there and buy the latest jersey, the youngest player. That's why I don't own any jerseys. Here's my rule on jerseys. This is my rule. I'm not telling you how to live your life. Anybody out there? James, you in particular. I'm not telling anybody how to live their life. This is my rule on jerseys. I don't own a jersey of anybody I'm older than. That's my rule. I own a Randall Cunningham jersey, throwback Kelly Green, because of course I do. You have to. You have to own that jersey. That's either that one or the Reggie White jersey. So I own that jersey. I own a Pete Incaviglia jersey. I think it's me and Pete Incaviglia's mom. They're the only people I think that have the Pete Incaviglia jersey. It's true. I honestly do. Actually, that's true. I was down Clearwater, Florida one time, and I saw a guy around my age. There was 3 guys: Darren Dalton, Mickey Morandini, Pete Incaviglia, and I was like, I could be friends with those guys. Excuse me. Allergies are killing me today, by the way. I don't know why, but yeah, those are the only jerseys I own. Yeah. So I don't buy any like new jerseys. So I never have that problem. But I understand people that do. And Brett, I'm sorry, I crossed this up earlier. I like I hate Howie so much. me see if I can get this right. Like, I hate Howie so much that I kind of am down to see Carson thrive and Howie burn just to be like, yep. Okay, I get that. There's a lot of emotions surrounding you, Brett. I don't have the emotion with Carson. It's because I feel like first off, I feel like we've been dealing with this for 2 months. I mean, when we first started the show almost 2 months ago, it was like that's what we were talking about. And now here we are. It's kind of finally come to fruition. And by the way, I also find it hilarious in a way that after all these reporters come out and tell you this deal's happening, the day it becomes official, like, oh, here it is. Like, I told you so. It's official. And it's like, I did that 2 weeks ago. I don't have any more energy for you. But yeah, I'm just kind of done with it. James is also saying, blah. Mally's checking in. What's up, Mally? You know, I love you right back, buddy. What else we got? We got Taylor, cliche machine, Nick. Should we hit it one more time? I'm kind of tempted to just hit it.
As far as the character of the player, right? We're always looking for these things in a player. We're always looking for tough players. We're always looking for high football IQ players. We're always looking for players that are competitive, right? And we're always looking for players that love ball. Like, in my experience, like those 4 things, like when we find players that have those 4 things.
All right, I'm not going to play the full thing for you. We saw it earlier. In my experience, am I wrong? He does the high thing at the end. That sounds like a question. Because I'm just telling you. Is Nick Sirianni a bro? He feels like a bro. It's a bro. He's got bro-ish tendencies. I'll say that much. These 4 things that a player has to have, I don't want to pile on. All right, I don't want to be a sarcastic jerk. I don't want to do that. But these 4 things a player might need to have are kind of great. Like, do you love ball? If my foot hurts, will you rub it? If I need a babysitter in the middle of the night, will you come over and babysit my kids? Those are the things we're looking for. These 4 things. And there's like 10 things. Sorry, I can't help myself. All right, anyway, off that tangent. Mally, gotta love ball. Yeah, no, I'm with all you lovely people. Wait, Brett's checking it. Wait, it's not that I love Carson, it's that I hate Howie. Okay, I'm with you now. I got you. Max checking in. Seems like a frat dude. There's definitely frattish qualities about Nick Sirianni. Who I will state for the record, I am not, I repeat, I am not judging him as a football coach yet. More as just a public speaker. And the way he is as a public speaker kind of gives me doubts about that other thing that's more important. But I'm holding out hope that when we see him on the football field in his natural habitat, we won't see him kind of do the talking thing. If I don't have a Netflix password, will you lend me yours? Like that kind of thing. Anyway, so that's what he's looking for in a player. That is the social media check-in brought to you by our friend at Steak and Maine, steakandmaine.com. We're having some fun with all that stuff. How about our morning rush brought to you by Sky Motorcars and SkyMotorcars.com? First off, I didn't know the Kevin James movie, The Cruise, on Netflix, but apparently that's in our morning rush. So I was notified earlier that that's the thing. So enjoy that. Big TV deal in the NFL. Big TV deal with the NFL. ESPN, ABC. I want to make sure I get these numbers right here. Prime, Amazon Prime will get 15 exclusive Thursday night football games. Hot damn. ESPN will get ESPN Plus, will get 1 London game. ABC, ESPN also gets put in the Super Bowl rotation along with NBC, CBS, and Fox. So now instead of 3 networks, it'll be 4. And then also Monday Night Football, how about this? Gets flex scheduling beginning in week 12. That was only Sunday Night Football. Now, apparently, as part of this $10 billion deal, that's going to be that's billion with a B, that's going to be part of Monday Night Football and ESPN's package. So ESPN in this whole deal looks great. And still in bigger news for me, I'm just excited. I can't wait till I hear the NHL on ESPN theme song. And I would like to start up this petition. I'll scream it again from the rooftops. I need Gary Thorne and I need Billy Clement back on the broadcast as soon as humanly possible. All the other things here on our social media, on our morning rush. Don't forget, Villanova tips off tonight, 9:57 against Winthrop. Right there's 5 versus the 12. And then Drexel tips off this afternoon, 1:15 against Illinois. I really like Illinois. I really like Gonzaga. Yes, that's what you call chalk. It's quite frankly the definition. However, I do like Illinois, so sorry to the Drexel Dragons. I don't think it's happening today, but good luck to you. In last night's game, if you're on your way to the office, if you're going to be around other people today, maybe you got Zoom conference calls and all that stuff, and people are going to be talking about what happened last night in the Michigan State game. I didn't think it was anything, and I want to make sure that Gabe Brown missed a switch right before halftime, and he was seen kind of calling out his teammate on the court as time expired, and everyone was walking off the court to go in for halftime. And Gabe Brown and Tom Izzo kind of went nose to nose. Izzo was coming out to correct his player, and his player, they got in an argument. And Gabe Brown walked away, and Izzo grabbed his arm to try to bring him back for a conversation. People apparently were trying to make a big deal out of this, and to me, it just looked like a coach and a player in the heat of a moment having an argument. If you see something about this today and somebody's just like, that Izzo, he's a jerk. I think it's two people having an argument, and it's basketball. It's the heat of the moment. It's sports. I didn't see anything wrong with it. And Draymond Green, by the way, also came out during that confrontation, or right after the confrontation, even calling it that, but came out after that confrontation and said, what's the big deal here? Nothing to say. It's just a player and a coach. That's called basketball. And then Izzo was even laughing about it after the game. Like, why am I even being asked about this? The question's legitimate. You have to ask about it. However, you could just dispel it quickly. And Izzo did it in a manner I wouldn't have. Let's just put it that way. So if you see that or hear about it today, I think it's nothing, but you can form your own opinion. Bryce Harper, this is wild. Learning to throw again. He just got put in the outfield for the first time a couple of days ago, and it turns out it's because the reason he was playing DH and only DH so far in spring training up until recently was because of a lower back injury that had been hampering him. And he said he had to reteach himself how to throw so that he was using proper mechanics and wouldn't throw his back out or hurt his back any further. So that was the reason why you didn't see Bryce Harper out there all that much in the outfield up until recently. And also, real quick, a shout out. Meant to do this yesterday. Sean Bradley, former Sixers center, paralyzed after being in a bike accident where he was hit by a car, apparently. So nothing but positive vibes and good vibes out there for Sean Bradley. An unfortunate story. Just tough stuff. Please send your positive vibes there, and then send negative vibes to the scumbag that chose to write Eagles fan Giovanni there. Who's a huge Carson Wentz fan, put on a jersey. The Carson Wentz sent him the number 2 Colts jersey. Those two had a great relationship while he was here in Philadelphia, and that won't change. I was at the training camp practice where he went over to Giovanni, and they had an exchange, and it was a beautiful moment. It was a great moment. And I know after that, a lot of Eagles players started going over and making sure they had their moments with a lot of the fans that were there. And that's something I'll remember forever when it comes to Carson Wentz's time here in Philadelphia. I think very genuine in that. And I think a lot of his character has been under fire for maybe the type of teammate that he was, or maybe the type of employee that he was. But bottom line is, when he was with the fans, he seemed like a great guy, seemed very genuine. It seemed like he really wanted to do a lot of good in the city, and even did his own lunch truck to try to feed homeless people. So that's stuff that I'll remember when it comes to the Carson Wentz era. But to the people that actually, or to the person that actually came at Giovanni and said, basically, you're calling him a fraud essentially for putting on another team's jersey. Like, what the hell's wrong with you? And then that gives all of us a black eye in the eyes of the national media. So credit to Lane Johnson for saying, hey, guess what? If you want to get to Giovanni, you got to come through me. And I don't think those guys want that smoke. That was our social media check-in brought to you by, I did it again. I'm sorry. That was our morning rush brought to you by Sky Motorcars, SkyMotorcars.com. Big bet segment. Heat -4.5 tonight, going up against the Pacers in Miami. I'm betting the Heat tonight -4.5. Like the Heat tonight, so we'll see where that goes. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been a fun-filled week for me, and I've had so much fun with you. Thanks again to Marc Zumoff, who joined us today, and once again to Brandon Graham, who joined us yesterday, and kind of blew up our YouTube and our social media. So I appreciate all that. Appreciate the love you guys are giving the show in the first almost 2 months of doing it. So thank you for all that. My thanks to Jim Hyden, produced the program. This is a Buzz Sports and Entertainment production. Have a wonderful weekend, everybody. Enjoy the NCAA tournament. Hopefully, you'll enjoy another Sixers win after falling in their most recent game. Hopefully, they'll bounce back against the Kings tomorrow night. Have a great weekend, everybody. I'll talk to you on Monday morning. Take it easy.